2 chapters today, and that would be Silver and Opals and the Secret Riddle. And I think in this set of chapters I would like to ask the question of why no one is taking Draco Malfoy as a possible villain seriously, other than Harry. Because what we're seeing in this moment is an attack. Katie Bell taking the brunt of it, of course, but this is also very directly an attack on the school, because this is someone attempting to hurt someone within the community, and hurting somebody in the community, even if that was not their original target. Harry, of course, is insistent that Draco, if not guilty, is involved in some direct way. McGonagall, of course, says the very logical thing of, well, he was serving detention with me. That provides a hint as well that Draco has stopped caring about his schoolwork. So really, I think with that moment sort of lends some credence to Harry's belief. Draco as a character, as a person, is changing. His habits are changing. He's focused on something else. He's not seeing schoolwork as being worth focusing on. That should say something. But Ron and Hermione, who have also overheard this moment with Draco Malfoy, are completely writing him off. And treating Harry very directly like he's silly for suspecting Draco in such a plot. And the question is why? Why is it in a moment like this that suddenly, oh, this can't possibly be Draco, or Draco can't possibly be involved? Even, they were saying this even before McGonagall presents he was in detention. Because they were quite willing to assume that Draco was guilty in something like the Chamber of Secrets, which was years ago when he was a lot younger. So why are we writing Draco off as not a threat in this moment? I don't have an answer. I don't know why Ron and Hermione are not considering this a possibility. Because it can't be strictly his age. Again, they were very directly sure that Draco was involved when he was 12. Never mind now when he's 16. Is it because they're assuming since Lucius was caught, Draco wouldn't be involved? It's also good to have somebody in the place of your major enemy. So I don't have a good answer as to why Ron and Hermione are ignoring this possibility and not considering it all. But I think the Secret Riddle gives us an answer of why Dumbledore, notably among the professors, is not responding the way Harry would think would be appropriate, which would be to investigate Draco. Because what we actually see within the Secret Riddle is Tom's past, Tom Riddle's, like, introduction to the wizarding world. And we find a very twisted kid who has figured out that he's got powers and he knows he's special. And it's all about what he can do to others. You'll notice that. He can move other things. He can make animals obey him that he hasn't trained. He can make people hurt. Those are some terrifying examples to go to. We also see that he's developed, at least within the orphanage, he's got this way of speaking that will actually command somebody to tell him the truth. and do what he wants them to do. And he's not willing, he's more than willing, actually. He's not afraid to try this even on a stranger like Dumbledore. And it only comes down sort of from that when Dumbledore shows that he's above that. And what actually happens in this scene doesn't show Dumbledore in a very good light. We, of course, the first time through, are focused on Riddle and how he's not shown in a good light. We are seeing this twisted child. But Dumbledore does not handle this really well. This kid has grown up in a not great situation. He's been ostracized within the orphanage itself because he does have this way of doing things. And he's constantly taking things for himself because no one's ever going to give something to him. Like, he steals things because that's the only way he can have it. He bullies the other students because that's the only way he gets power. And then Dumbledore comes in here and very directly, like, steps on Tom Riddle and says, "You think you're the powerful one, I'm more powerful." Because he threatens to destroy all of Tom Riddle's things. He calls Tom Riddle out on the stolen objects. And really says, like, this will not be tolerated at Hogwarts. We're seeing a different side of Dumbledore that he's actually learned to curb moving forward. We're seeing a side of Dumbledore that's literally, like, I am the authority and you're going to listen to me. And he's not necessarily considering the situation that Tom Riddle's from. So we're looking at the possibility with Tom Riddle that if Dumbledore hadn't been immediately suspicious and assumed that Tom Riddle was always going to be a bad child and he needed to keep an eye on him, and these things, and had to be shown that he's actually weaker than other people and I'm stronger than you. If Dumbledore hadn't taken this stance and actually had sort of shown him what he could achieve, not in a power sense, because that's what Dumbledore does. He shows Tom that as the professor, Dumbledore has the power over Tom. And Tom learns from this, of course, that I can gain this power and continue to have power over other people. I can destroy their things if I want to. I could take what they see as theirs. Which is exactly what really Dumbledore is doing here. With the wardrobe on fire and then removing what Tom has sort of taken. I think Dumbledore could have approached this situation very differently and maybe gotten a better result simply because in this moment Tom learns, okay, I don't change for the better, I go underground. Because it's still all about that power dynamic. And I think Dumbledore has learned from this because suddenly that's exactly not how he's handling Draco. It's not gonna suddenly be, oh, Draco's not gonna mess with me. It's not, we show him who's more powerful here. Dumbledore is handling it, even the little bit that we see of him addressing it, with a lot more sympathy. Same with something like Mundungus, who he fully admits, along with Tonks, that Mundungus is just trying to make his way in the world. Same with Katie Bell. Dumbledore has learned to approach these students with more empathy and sympathy than we see him interact with Tom Riddle. And it's because he's learned that trying to overpower the people who have developed their bullying natures because they've been overpowered doesn't change the bully, it just tends to make them worse. So, Dumbledore's reaction to Draco makes sense, even when we're seeing how dangerous everything is getting. Dumbledore is actually trying to walk that fine line of keeping everybody safe, including Draco himself. And we're going to see in the end that that is the decision that Dumbledore makes in the end. He could, even in his weakened state, react to Draco, or he could ask Harry to react to Draco. But he does not, because he recognizes that Draco is in a worse situation, at least on the surface, than the Tom Riddle that we just saw was. Draco has been very directly forced into this, and he knows that his life is on the line, where we're not seeing that with Tom Riddle. So Dumbledore's choice not to go all power, I am more powerful than you, with these other students, lessons he learned from I am more powerful than Tom Riddle moments. Even our greatest men make mistakes, and thankfully Dumbledore seems to learn from them. And he's sort of trying to point Harry towards that too. With this moment of the mouth organ, the harmonica, I think it is. In the moment he says sometimes a mouth organ is just a mouth organ. I think that is really looking at Harry and saying sometimes a scared student is just a scared student who's trying to do what it will take to survive. And you have to approach that with a lot more sympathy than Harry necessarily is in this moment. And that's sort of the interesting thing. Would Harry be more sympathetic if he had somebody who would side with him and wasn't the only one arguing this side of things? Maybe. But unfortunately, that's not how it's working out. Harry's not going to get sympathetic until he crosses the line himself. And we're going to get to that point soon. Okay, so I'm going to keep reading, and I hope you do too. See you next time.